Right, my name's Liens. I've been doing commercial liens. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
A bit more, bit higher.
Yes.
Okay, I was just standing a bit closer. Okay. Can you hear me all right? Right, I've been doing commercial liens for quite a while. Normally when I do a lien talk, it's a very small group, 8, 10, 12 people. Because really speaking, you need to be looking at a screen to look at the documents. If you're not familiar with the documents, I know there's a couple of people in here who are, then really speaking, you need to be looking at them. But we don't have a screen. I've got my lappy with all the documents on it, but it's too small really, unless you're going to crowd up and crowd around it. What I've done is I've left a folder with the templates with Paula, so anybody who wants the documents, who wants to try it, go through the process, or just look at the documents and have a little study of them, do your own research. I always say to people, don't believe me, doubt me, be a doubting Thomas, do your own research, because I can make mistakes, I can get things wrong. Now, the commercial lien process is basically a commercial injury claim. If you have a tort worked against you, a tort is any wrong done to you outside of a contract. So if it's in a contract, it's a breach of contract. Outside a contract, it's a tort, it's a wrong. When you go to a lawyer, when you go to the county court and you ask them for things, you're giving away your power. The lien gives you your power back. You take control of your legal claim, you run it yourself, and then, when it's been perfected, as we say, you take it up, register it at court, county court, with the district judge. Since about 1835 or so, when they did away with the county recorder, they gave the functions to the magistrate and to a district judge. So you record your lien, once it's been perfected after 90 days, with the district judge at the county court, and you're taking it from the private, because in the private it's meaningless. It's just a piece of paper that you've written up, it's meaningless. You have to record it in the public, then it becomes a public document, and after that you do a straightforward Part 8 claim under the Civil Procedures Rules. We've done away with Part 7, there's only Part 8 claims now. So it's just a straightforward Part 8 claim. Get yourself a copy of the Civil Procedures Rules, and they will guide you through it. Have a look at the rules, have a look at the, what do you call them, Guy? The
Civil procedure rules?
Yeah, the 3 parts.
Yeah.
Pre-action protocols and something else. I'm forgetting at the moment. Sorry? Practice directions. Yeah, right. So you get a copy of the Civil Procedures Rules and it will run you right through it. Once you get the order of the court, and there's no reason you shouldn't if your lien is good and your claim is good, then you've got access to all the enforcement procedures that they have. High Court enforcement officers, go out with his posse, go and get your goods. You can do attachment orders, charging orders, third-party debt orders. You've got access to all the enforcement procedures that they come against you with. So if you have a claim, when I do paperwork with people, I've only got 2 questions. What's your claim? What's your proof of claim? So if you don't have proof of claim, you don't have a claim. So you take your claim and you write it up. You write up a criminal complaint. Start off with that. The first document you send out is what's called a notice of interest. This is like when the lawyer does it, he sends out a letter before action. The notice of interest is the commercial lien version of the letter before action. It's a very simple document, only half dozen lines. You're writing to the debtor, person you're claiming against, excuse me, and you give them this notice of interest, telling them why you're claiming and what the value of the claim is. Give them 21 days to get back to you, and after that you send out the first instrument, which is your affidavit of obligation, your commercial lien. You put the parties, you put your allegations, you put your proof of allegations.
First company should go.
You put your proof of allegations, you give them the value of it, you tell them what the surety for the value is. If you're dealing with an official, it will be his public indemnity bond. Nobody wants it. It's all toxic, nobody wants it.
Will they accept a lien for it? Plain burger with skinny fries?
That one's yours.
There you go, Forrest.
Land Forest.
Okay, so the first instrument proper of the lien is the affidavit of obligation. You put on the parties, you put on your allegations, you put on your proof of allegations, you put on the value that we place on the claim, the surety of the value, as I say, if they're an official, it will be their indemnity bond. You give them a notice how long they've got to get back to you. You give them 30 days. We're dealing in Jewish business law here, the shatar. Everything's done in threes. 30-day credit line, 6 a day, 90 days. So you give them 30 days to get back to you. Now we're going to assume that they didn't get back. So on the 31st day, you go back to preferably a notary, but we're having a lot of notaries refusing to deal with this. So at the moment we're using solicitors. It's a lot cheaper and it seems to be working. So on the 31st day you go back and you do your second document, which is called a notice of fault and opportunity to cure. You remind them that you sent them these documents, they haven't responded, or they haven't paid you, or they have sent a rebuttal, but it's not good enough and you've rebutted that rebuttal and you carry on with the lien. With that opportunity to cure, you give them 3 days to either pay you or explain why they're not going to pay you. So you go back to your solicitor or your notary because you're using them as a receiver. They're the witness, they're acting as judge in this little mini court case that you set up outside of the judicial system. And on that 4th day you issue what's known as a certificate of default. You get that stamped, you don't send that out, you keep that. 90 days from the day that you sent out that first instrument, the affidavit of obligation, you have what's known as a perfected lien. You take that perfected lien to county court, make an appointment to see the district judge, and you record it with him. It then becomes a public document. It takes on meaning. Because while it's in your hands and in the private, it's meaningless. It does not give you any rights at all. So you get it recorded into the public, and then after that, you can start your Part 8 claim. It's just a simple, straightforward civil procedures rules piece of business. Now, the powerful thing about this is you're not using law society. You're not asking the judge for anything. Everything's been done. You've had the court case outside of the court, and the notary or the solicitor has been the judge, been the witness, been the process server, and the receiver of any documents coming in. So it's all set and done. The worst thing that any judge can do when you take your lien to court for enforcement is to give you the order of the court and then set it aside. But they can only do that for a certain amount of time, and they need good reasons for it. So you start your Part 8 claim, you'll throw in a Part 12 for a default judgment, and the judge will probably say, well, I'm not going to give you that, we'll get this person up, we'll serve papers on them, and give them a chance to argue their case. If you've got a good claim, chances are you're going to win it. If they couldn't beat you in the affidavit process outside of a court, chances are they're not going to beat you in court. About 6 years ago, the High Court Chief Enforcement Officer went to Merthyr Tydfil Police Station on behalf of a convicted criminal who put in a lien against the Chief Constable, and they walked into the police station, they pushed policemen away from computers, they dragged them out of cars and they put stickers on and said, that's ours. The guy on the radio had to get onto the radio on the people out on patrol and say, don't come back to the station, the bailiffs are in and they've taken everything. Now the Chief Constable had to rush up to the High Court and put in an emergency plea for a stay of execution to set it all aside temporarily, because he said, I can't police the city. That's how a lien works. And when the newspapers interviewed him afterwards, they said, what happened? And he said, it was an administrative error. Right, well, I'll tell you what that administrative error was. A lien came in, and he treated it like a letter. It's not a letter. It's an affidavit. Affidavits are very powerful. Very powerful. We're in commercial law here. Commercial law stands on 4 pillars. Commercial contracts, commercial affidavits, commercial distresses, and commercial liens. You knock away any one of those 4 pillars, and the whole commercial construct that we call the world collapses. They can't do it. There are a lot of maxims in law regarding commercial liens, and one of them is, it is a fatal offence for anyone to interfere with an affidavit without, and that includes a judge, without a counter affidavit in place. So we got a guy at the back there that was talking to you downstairs, said he took a lien to the court and they refused to record it. Well, he didn't know how to run the lien. I don't know where he got it from. I don't know what kind of lien it is. I don't know if it's a real lien. I don't know if he run it properly. But he said he took his lien there and they refused to record it. Well, if that had been me or anybody that I've taken through this process, he would have just got his pencil out and said, "What's your name?" Add his name to the lien, because he then becomes the surety for the debt on the lien. So if I come to you with a lien for $1 million and this guy gets in the way, well, guess what? He owes me $1 million, and that's the law. The other thing they did was they refused him his lawful remedy. In this country, the law is, for every right, the law provides a remedy. And that's why we have courts. Courts, by the way, are a substitute for the dueling field. In the old days, and you can go to the Royal Army in Leeds and see the weapons, if there were 2 people squabbling over a debt and it couldn't be resolved, the mayor said, right, you get out there and whoever lives wins. And they had to fight to the death. So if you owed me money and you weren't paying, I'd come up, right, out on the field, swords out, pistols out, and we fought to the death. And God said, you're right, he's wrong, so I'm going to kill him. So what they've done is, the court is a substitute for the dueling field. When you're in court, there's only 2 people marked. Prosecutor and a defender. That's all. Judge is nothing. Everybody else in there is nothing. These are the only 2 people marked. These are the 2 guys with the pistols, waiting to see who goes and gets the coffee. That's it. So anybody who interferes with the lien becomes the surety for the debt on the lien. Now if you can get the order of the court, what's his name? Mike Dobson? Anybody know Mike Dobson from up north? Yeah? Well, he's what is that, £9 million lien against the chief constable up there? Took it to court. The judge tried to mess with it, and he said, you can't do that. And the judge said, right, I'm setting this aside. And Mike says, well, you can't do that either. The judge said, why not? He says, you haven't given me the order of the court. And he went, yeah, okay, I'm setting this aside. So Mike said, does that mean you've given me the order? And the judge went, yeah. They cannot interfere with the lien. It's fatal. It's a fatal offence for anybody, even a judge. And the law gives a remedy for every right you have. And you have a right to make a claim if you think you've been damaged. Someone worked a tort against you, you have a lawful remedy. And in this case, by using the lien, you're stepping out of their system. If you take your regular claim to court, ask a lawyer to work for you, what do when you take on a lawyer? You become a ward of court. And I'm sure you all know by now, the lawyer is first duty to the court, second duty to the public, third to you. You come last. You become a ward of court. You go and ask them, what does a ward mean? Idiot child. You don't know how to work yourself, you've had to go and get Mr. Sir here to come and do it for you. So this gives you your power back. You take control. You decide the value. Because if you go up into court with a lawyer and ask a judge for something, you might say, yeah, you're right, this guy really hurt you, there's £5. But you're asking for 5 million or 50,000 or whatever it is. The judge will decide the facts of the case, and you can't argue with that. And he will decide how much money you get, if anything. And there's no appeal in county, we know that now. You can't appeal a county court decision. The worst you can do is ask for a judicial review. And they will only look at process. Not what you did, not what facts he ignored, what facts he took into consideration, just the process involved. And if he's kept to process, and Guy knows, an abusive process is not an abusive process unless it materially affects the outcome of the case. So they can screw you left, right and centre. They'll come up to you 5 minutes before the case. I've had it happen to me. Royal Courts of Justice, an 800-page document handed to me 5 minutes before we stepped into court. And you go in and you complain about it and they just go, oh yeah, well, and that's it. Moving on. They don't want to give us remedy in court. When we go in against them, they're going to shaft us. If I go in against any one of you, they'll help me rip you apart. They don't care. But if you go in against a council official, a policeman, social services, government, anything like that, they're going to work against us. So when you go in with a perfected commercial lien, they can't touch it. You just stand there with your pencil. What, you're going to stop this going through? What was your name again? There you go. You owe me £1 million, or whatever the value of the lien is. It's a very, very simple, straightforward process. Notice of interest, affidavit of obligation, notice of fault and opportunity to cure, and then certificate of default. If you're doing this through a notary acceptor, it's going to cost you 180 quid, 200 quid. Some London notaries will charge you 100 quid a document. Some notaries will charge you 40 quid. They're not part of the Law Society. They come under the faculty of notaries. They're appointed by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Right, now the last I heard, the master of the faculty was a guy called Christopher Vaughan. And 5-6 years ago he was sending memos out. Don't deal with the free men. Don't touch commercial redemption. Don't touch anything to do with the straw man or security agreements or anything like that. And I walked into a notary. I was doing the commercial redemption stuff in those days. I was putting a lien on my straw man and security agreements and stuff. And I went into the notary with a pile of documents and she sat there looking through it and it was just way, way beyond her. She couldn't understand it. And she said, who prepared these? And I said, I did. And she looked at me. And she said, I'm going to have to take these away and study them. And I said, well, yeah, okay, fine. And shortly after that was when Christopher Vaughan sent his memo out, do not deal with anything to do with a straw man. If the word sovereign is mentioned, kick them out the door. Now what you have to remember is, although these notaries are not part of the Law Society, they are a commercial business. But they do have an oath, the 1835 Notaries Act. And if you go and look through it, there's an oath in there they have to take. They can only refuse your documents for 2 reasons. One, it contains fraud or violence. Other than that, it's quite hard for them to turn down your business. You can push it. Not many people bother pushing it, they'll just go off somewhere else and try somewhere else. So, if you want to make a claim, if you want to keep your power, if you don't want to become dependent on a judge or some prostitute from the Law Society, run a commercial lien. It's very, very easy to learn. Very easy to learn. There's another document I prepared. I haven't got it on my laptop. I was doing a thing on chemtrails a little while ago, dealing with the Civil Aviation Authority. I was trying to get them on trespass, because believe it or not, when they chemtrail, it's trespass. It's like in the street, you have the right to pass and repass. You can't block the highway and you can't leave anything behind. Trespass includes noise, smoke, water, smell. So if somebody next door is constantly cooking up some dreadful fucking Indonesian nasi goreng or something, and you're getting this constant smell of urine, that's a trespass. And you can act on it. It's a tort. You can claim. It's called injuria sine damnis, injury without damage. You've trespassed against me, and take it from me, there is only one crime. There's only ever been one crime. Trespass. Trespass against a person, against property, against goods. If I come and punch you on the nose, the charge should read trespass against the person by means of assault. If I come and take your wallet, trespass against the person by means of stealing his property. There is only trespass. But they've snipped it all off and now they go theft, assault. They've taken this idea of trespass away. So I was watching this bloody Ryanair going over one time, laying down the chemtrails, and I thought, trespass. So I started writing up criminal complaints and put them into the council, send them off to the Attorney General. It's a common nuisance. It's a particular nuisance. It's an ongoing nuisance. It's a whole list of nuisances. And these are things that the local authority are obliged to do something about, or the Attorney General is obliged to do something about. So I did a talk about this at UK Column a few years ago, put out the sample criminal complaint and say, right, go and speak to your local authorities, see where you get. But as usual, nobody gets back to you and tell you what's happening. They just take stuff, go away, and they never bother ringing up and saying it doesn't work or it does work, so you don't really know. So, I've lost myself there, I've gone off into law interest. Chemtrails. I was dealing with Civil Aviation Authority. There's a guy called Chris Blackham in the Policy Department. I pulled out the air navigation order because I thought that's trespass. If a helicopter hovers 50 feet above your house and you can get a hook and pull it down, it's yours, you keep it, because he's trespassing. Right? It's like passing in the street. They're not going to hover a jumbo jet while they're chemtrailing, they can't. But they're leaving stuff behind. Now I deliberately did not say chemtrail, I said they're discharging aerosolized materials. It was them that brought in the concept of chemtrails and started arguing about me. I've got to prove it's chemtrails. And I'm getting back saying, no. So in the end I bypassed them, wrote up the complaint, sent it into the Air Regulations Enforcement Department, filled out the air navigation officer. It's got hundreds of sections, and I filled out all these different sections, what they've got to do. Believe it or not, if they want to spray, they've got to walk the land a mile on either side. A mile on either side. They've got to fill this in, fill that in, they've got to check this, check that. I did the Freedom of Information. I got a list of who they'd issued spray certificates to. Ryanair didn't have one, EasyJet didn't have one. It was all helicopters for Bracken. That was it. So I wrote up the complaint, sent it into the Air Regulations Enforcement Department, who was supposed to prosecute this stuff. And I made the mistake of mentioning the word policy, so they shunted me over to Chris Blackham in the policy department. This guy's a seriously good gatekeeper. Believe me, he knows his stuff. He's read everything we've ever read, he's watched all the YouTubes, he can stand there and give lectures on it. And he's really, really good at gatekeeping. I was in the middle of doing stuff and my computer went blank. Totally blank. They sucked it out. There was nothing on it. It was like it had been brand new manufactured. There wasn't even the sample videos and films and photos and music. Nothing. Complete blank. It was empty. So there's a couple of people I was passing this stuff out to, so I grabbed my phone, I got 2 texts out, and then the phone died. Just woof, gone. Gone. So they were very unhappy with what was happening there. That's about trespass. I was going in on, this is trespass, for leaving stuff behind. Because you've got the air highways, as well as these highways. So trespass is very, very powerful. And that's what happens when they come and work a tort against you. So use the lien, don't go to them, don't hire a lawyer, don't go and sit with a judge and say, I want you to find them guilty, and then you decide how much money I'm going to get. You lay it all out. They can't touch it, they can't stop it. If they try to stop it, Smith was it? Okay, hand them a copy. Now there's another document on the in the folder that I've given to Paula. I used to give this out years ago when I was first talking about the liens. It's a notice of distress. If you're going up into court and you believe you're going to get shafted, as most of us do, have somebody sitting beside you with a notice of distress already printed out and a nice big gap so that he can write things in. The notice of distress is parties, allegations, Judge Cheatham Bad, or Mr. Cheatham Bad doing business as Judge Cheatham Bad. He said this, and you get the guy sat beside you, write down. When a judge starts cheating you, he writes down what the judge is doing. When he's abusing process, when he's committing fraud, when he's ignoring law, when he's practicing law by dismissing a high court decision and inserting his own opinion. You can't do that, that's practicing law. He's legislating. So you get the guy to sit there and write it all down, and then he hands it to you. You sign it. The value of this notice of distress isn't money, it's his specific performance. Do your job. The surety for that specific performance is his public indemnity bond. Now any judge worth his salt will know that the next document coming in after this notice of distress is a commercial lien. And if he really has shafted you in some way, he's screwed. Now what they do in America, because they notarize documents in the court for free, They sit in America, they write this out and say, right, stay there, judge, they'll go away, they'll get it notarized, they'll come back, they give a copy to the judge, give one to the prosecutor, hand them out to any court staff, we'll pin them up on the notice boards, we'll send them out to all the attorneys that are practicing locally. Judge, he's screwed. He's completely screwed. Now in this country, years ago, when I was talking about going for the judge's bond, a lot of people started doing freedom of information requests to the Ministry of Justice. And what came out was, the judges are self-bonded. Now I've done a lot of insurance law, and I can tell you now, self-bonding is no bonding. It's limited liability insurance law. So we pushed a little bit more, I had to rewrite this document that I was publishing on it, on the internet. I had to scrub out a lot of stuff when I got that information and rewrite it. And by the time I was ready to put it out, we discovered more information. They're not even self-bonded. They're operating on a promise to pay. That's it. A promise to pay. So you're dealing with a guy who's got no public indemnity bond. He can't be sacked. He can't be indicted. When we arrested that one up in Birkenhead, we were lucky to walk away from that, really. And when Anthony Carlin tried to arrest the judge over in Northern Ireland, he did get arrested. 3 of his own cops came and arrested him. He's sat in court right now on contempt charges. Only Parliament can sack a judge. But as he's a card-carrying policeman, and he's allowed to make mistakes. We're not allowed to make mistakes. I can arrest anybody except a judge. But I'm not allowed to make a mistake. A policeman is, because he can act on reasonable suspicion. So you go and check that suspicion, and if it turns out not to be real, he walks away. You haven't got a claim. We can't do that. So you got a judge, not bonded to act in the public. If he works a tort on you, there is no bond to claim against. Nothing. It's very, very difficult to deal with judges in this country. They're bulletproof, they're untouchable, really. We've got this series of committees and judicial review things that you've got to go to, and they'll look and they'll examine it. And if they decide for some mad reason to go on your side and go against him, it will just get passed up through the line until eventually it will get up into Parliament, another committee will look at it, and they'll decide, yeah, he's trouble, get rid of him. That's so unlikely to happen. There is no remedy for us in court. No remedy at all. I don't bother doing law anymore. Stop studying law. Don't go to courts now except to sit in the back and just watch. I've been to a couple with a guy, I've been to a couple with there's a Mendip Local Council rubber stamped 694 liability orders. So we've been fighting that. And we're running them ragged. We've got solicitors sat there shaking. They are literally sat there shaking in court like this. We've got them. They know we've got them. But it's like a rat. It's going to run. But when you corner it, it's going to go for your throat. Yeah. It will fight. Everybody fights for survival. That guy that played Superman, lying in bed, paralysed from the neck down, he was fighting to live. Got nothing to live for. All he can do is blink, say, scratch my nose, I'm fucking itching, you know. But he's fighting for life. These people are the same. Whether it's Rothschild, Rockefeller, the judge in court, or the little local council guy, they will fight. And they've got control of everything. They've got the money, they've got the judge, they've got the parliament, they've got legislation, they've got everything. We've got nothing.
Police.
We're up against Mount Impossible. And we've got no climbing gear. It's pitch black, we've got no training, and they're up on top throwing big boulders down on us. There is no remedy in court. Go in with a lien, they can't touch it. Because if they touch it, the name goes on it, and they're screwed. So if you're interested in the documents, have a word with Paula. I've given her the folder with all the bits and pieces on it. There's also a couple of thousand words right up where I describe what the lien is, what it means, how to use it, how it functions. Pretty much a lot of what I've been saying here today, minus trespass and chemtrails. And if you've never seen a lien before, get a copy of that folder and you will be able to run it. If you want to do it, if you start doing it and you get a bit worried or a bit stuck or you're not sure or uncertain, get in touch with Paula, she'll get in touch with me, and I will help. I will help. I don't ask someone to do something. Okay, so I am a lawyer. I don't advise people, I give opinions. I might speak my own opinion sometimes, but if you're going to take up something that I've talked about, and I think you should do rather than going to them, I will help. I won't just walk away from you, I will help. I'm not the brightest tool in the book, okay, I'm human, I get ups and downs, I get depression. I'm recovering from 20 years of PTSD. Sometimes I'm not at my best, sometimes I just want to fucking shoot everybody. I get guilty. Yeah, and otherwise I'm human. I'm up, I'm down. Sometimes I'm going, oh fuck, it's her again. Right, okay, here, have that. But if I can't help, I will help. As we said earlier today, we're all here, we're all fighting the same cause. We're up against this bloody new world order that wants to depopulate us. Agenda 21, genocide, get us all up and living in stacking and packing towers. Rewild the countryside and stop us getting access. We've got to fight them. Have a look around you someday. Have a look at the kids on YouTube that are singing like Maria Callas, you know. Have a look at the guys that are doing free running. Have a look at the people that are writing poetry, music, song. Humanity is wonderful. There's a whole bunch of bad bastards out there as well, but basically, generally speaking, humanity is wonderful. We can't let them get rid of us. They're trying to turn us into this collective hive mind. And that's fatal. Life is emergent. It's not fixed. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, left brain, logic, chop, step, step. It's emergent. It's free, it's chaotic, it's wild. And it's fucking wonderful. You know, every single person in here is an individual. Every one of you. And any one of you will stand up and give me a fight if I come and stand on your toes. And I think that's great. Right? So, get a copy of the lien. You don't have to use it. It's the only weapon we've got that works. Believe me, it is the only weapon. And that's why I've stuck with it for so many years. I've been obsessive about it. I've bored people with it. They're chasing me down the road to sticks saying, go away, I never want to speak to you again. And lien, commercial lien, commercial lien, commercial lien. And I've had a lot of people out there trying to shoot me down and fight me over it. And slowly they've dropped away. And a lot of them are now coming out and pushing the lien as I've been pushing it. So take a copy of it. Have a little look at it, won't take you long. It's a weapon, it's a tool. Get it, put it in your toolbox. If you need it, pull it out, use it. And if you do use it, and you think you need a bit of help, get in touch with Paula. She'll get in touch with me. I'll help.
What's your name again?
My name is Lance.
Lance.
Short for Lancelot. Yes, it's my birth name. It's very embarrassing. You try being brought up in the slums of Glasgow with that. A boy named Sue, nothing. Okay? She's laughing. You try her in my childhood. You wee bastard. Tough kids in Glasgow. Right, so I've got my Agenda 21, I call her my Agenda 21 expert. She's not really mine, she's an independent woman. She'd probably hit me if she heard me calling her that. She's our Agenda 21 expert in the group that we've got down in Somerset. And she's doing a talk in the Red Brick Building tomorrow on it. Because they've introduced Agenda 2030 now. Anybody not familiar with Agenda 21? Thank God. Oh. Look at somebody who's just arrived on planet Earth there. Agenda 21 is the United Nations Depopulation Programme.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't believe me, get a copy of their book. Yeah, Agenda 21, 1,140 pages of it. Go to chapter 7 and they'll tell you what's not sustainable.
Is the lady contactable? Because I've got a problem with Agenda 21.
We all have.
Yeah, but I'm being asked to push smart meters.
Smart meters.
I'm being asked to push smart meters.
Right, well I've heard about you. You're the lady from Liens.
I am.
Right, well my plea to you would be, don't leave.
Don't
Stay in
leave
there,
me
fill your
I'm
tanks
not
with
leaving.
documents, slip out the door every night and give them to people.
Yeah, but I want to make a stand.
Good, make a stand.
You're the best place to do it. Yeah, because I refuse to, promote these things. I'm not doing it.
Right, well you on the inside can do a lot for us on the outside.
Okay.
You can.
Okay.
I've had policemen and others coming to me and saying, I got to get out, I'm handing my card in, I'm burning this uniform. And I've said, no, you got to stay in. We need you in there.
I've managed to avoid.
We don't need
it
one
now,
more
but
person on the outside trying to peer in. We get people in there, we want them going to the back toilet window and throwing documents out.
I
you
know the conversation's got to happen.
All we need is information.
We need it.
Yeah, but they're going to start pushing me when they realise I'm not doing it.
Record it. Get yourself a pair of spy glasses or a spy pen. I've got a friend who's so tired of getting shafted.
Sorry.
When he goes out,
Yeah.
he's got spy glasses, he's got a spy pen, he's got a spy tie pin, he's got a spy buckle, he's got a spy watch, he's got a spy... He's standing there like that recording you from 7 different angles. You know? You say or do anything wrong, he's got you. He goes home and does this edit, it's like a Hollywood movie. And I'll tell you who he is, he's got a YouTube channel called Space Cowboy 1999. Stan, brilliant guy. Absolutely. Crazy to learn, but he's brilliant.
Space Cowboy 99.
Yeah, something like that. Mike Sapper, are you here?
It is Space Cowboy.
Yes, it's Space Cowboy 1999, something like that. Mad as a hatter, very, very difficult
Oh,
at
get on
times.
well then.
Yeah, we're all mad. Except for me, and you, and I'm not sure about you.
It's not me, mate, it's all the rest of them.
Right, so if you're not familiar with Agenda 21, have a look at it. Sandy's, we've discovered they're now on Agenda 2030, so her talk tomorrow is going to be Agenda 21 through to Agenda 30. If you've heard of Agenda 21, you've probably heard about the stacking and packing tower blocks. Right, well, Rob, there he is, Rob. A year or two back, we're talking on the phone and he said to me, have a look at the port authorities. I went, yeah, okay. So it didn't take me 5 minutes before I found the appeal group. And it didn't take me 2 minutes after that to find all the usual suspects, Royal Bank, Chase Manhattan, all stuff like that. But I followed the appeal group, and 10 minutes after that I discovered the tower blocks, they're actually building them now. Series of 50-storey high tower blocks in Liverpool Waters, and across the water in Wirral Waters. In Liverpool Waters, 23,000 apartments in this tower block, or these tower blocks. Now, 4 people, call that 100,000 people in these tower blocks, and it's all built on top of light industrial units and commercial, little shopping area. And Liverpool Waters, 15,000 apartments. So these two developments, you're talking 160,000 people, just in that one little area. It's built right on the river, by the tracks, by the tunnel, by the motorway. So it's all to do with the, if you haven't heard of rewilding, it's all to do with the Earth Charter. Go and have a look at it. Rewilding is getting us off the countryside. Go out here now to the highest point you can and do a 360. Are there any food in the ground? Any crops? Any herds? Any flocks? There's nothing. We are 83% dependent on imports. And there's only 2 food importing ports left. A company called ADM handles the vast bulk of the world's distribution of food. Nestle is the same. And they've now just been knocked back in an American court. They tried to get it quashed, but they can't. They failed. They're now up in court for child slavery in West Africa. So I can imagine they're now going to kick out, and there will be problems about food distribution. We're almost at famine states in Venezuela. They've got army out in the streets, they're guarding the food shops, and we want to get 2 ports left, and China owns them. Yes? Oh, you're just waiting? Hello.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? If I talk very fast, can you keep up with me? Well, mostly I've done the lean, I'm just rambling now about Constitution. Yes?
Can I just say about the appeal group?
Yeah?
You follow the history of the appeal group?
No, I just very slowly skimmed through it to find the towers, and I just went, oh my
But
God.
the thing is, if you follow all of these people back, and all of their groups and everything, appeal group leads back to Robert Peel, who was the guy who
Yeah, I do understand that one.
Appealers.
Yeah, I do understand that one.
So, you know, this is the new world order going back,
Yeah.
way back.
Oh yeah, way back. Way back.
Yeah.
Okay, last couple of minutes, I just want to say this, because it was a massive hammer blow to me. It sent me into a deep depression for a couple of months. I was useless. I was going to go and get a gun and shoot myself in the head. I did an Agenda 21 timeline for my friend Sandy, our expert. 2 pages, and it was just a list of dates. This date that happened, this date that happened, this date they brought this, they brought this. And there was one thing in it where the Huxleys came in, because in 1948, Julian Huxley, brother of Aldous Huxley, he was the one that started the anthropocentric origins of global warming, man-made global warming, 1948. And he created the IUPN, the International Union for the Protection of Nature. That's since transformed into the IUCN, which is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. They're the ones that are pushing through the World Wildlife Fund, all those scams, all those Save the Dolphin scams. That's all IUCN, and behind them is United Nations Agenda 21. So when I was doing that, I came across this one reference that he did this in a place called Fontainebleau in France. And I thought, oh, that's curious. That's where the big spiritual Sufi teacher, George Gurdjieff, was. And there was a connection to the Rosicrucians. So I put in a very brief little couple of lines about it, handed it to Sandy, and she said, oh, that's interesting, I used to be Rosicrucian. I wouldn't mind reading a bit more about that. And I went, yeah, okay. So I went back to my cabin, fired up the internet, and that, within a week, it had grown up to 22 pages. There was almost not one so-called spiritual path that is not theirs.
Exactly.
And I can prove that. I've taken this back through, you will find that Crowley comes into it with his Thelema, Wicca, Stella Matutina, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Vienna Circle. And one of the really deep big names is a German philosopher called Wittgenstein. And you can track it very easily down to a guy called Leo Strauss, who was an obscure Chicago, mid-ranking Chicago professor, university professor, and we know Rockefeller started that university. And out of him we get Karl Schwartz, who gave us the American neocons, George Bush, Reaganomics, Milton Friedman, that austerity-loving economist. And then what the staff in the White House called the crazies, what George Bush called the Chicago boys, Paul Wolfowitz, Donald Rumsfeld. This all comes back, all leads back down through these esoteric timelines. Whether you go back to Anthroposophy and Blavatsky, the Sarmuni Sufis through Gurdjieff, Steiner's Anthroposophy. Out of that you get Stella Matutina, you get Wicca, you get Crowley and his Thelema. And my own Sufi teacher, for years and years and years, 40 years of studying, was a guy called Idris Shah. And then I found out that he was an early member of the Club of Rome. Tied in with Leonard Levin, who wrote the introduction for Report from Iron Mountain. This all ties in, all ties in. Gandhi, best pals with Hitler. Best pals with Hitler. Hitler and Stalin were proteges of Churchill. Churchill taught them. So be careful, if you're in Rosicrucians or Crucis, Rubius, Anglicana or any of those things, you have a little look back, do some study, see what the connections are. It will take you back to the people that created the biosphere reserves, for example, which is all these biosphere reserves, these huge great areas of land that they're slowly expanding as part of the rewilding zone when they get us in the towers. That was created by a Jewish occultist, Bergson, a French Jesuit, Teilhard de Chardin, and all based on the work of a Russian occultist called Edward Seuss, and then it was followed up by a guy called Vladimir Vernadsky. It was expanded and then taken up by the UN in 1947. And we're living with it right now. These people are working on a thing, and we're looking at what they did 100 years ago. We are working so hard to catch up on them. So hard. So, if you're involved in any of the religious stuff, any of the spiritual search for divine perfection, be very, very careful. I'm very familiar with a lot of this, and I can go back centuries to this. I've been in it most of my life, this esoteric aspect side of it.
You mentioned...
Can you speak up?
You mentioned the Rosicrucians.
Yes.
Well, there's different Rosicrucians.
And they're all run by the same gang.
Well, not necessarily, because the Rosicrucian animal is the ancient and mystical order Rosicrucians.
Yes, I know.
As in like animal, it's not the original Rosicrucian.
Do your own study. I'm content with what I've done.
I used to belong to it. So
Yeah, a lot of people used to belong to them, but that doesn't... I mean, there's people that are part of, for example, Freemasons. And they say, no, it's great, but what's going on around the corner, down the road with a higher ranking?
Yeah, but it's
More
the
than that,
system.
the Masons are not
It's the
free
team.
from the Rosary.
One of the
No, I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying, look, I was part of the Sufis for 40 years, but I didn't know about this. I didn't know about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Stella Matutina, Vienna Circle. I didn't know he was involved with Report from Iron Mountain. Gerald Gardner, he was close to Gerald Gardner. He created Wicca with Doreen Valiente. And believe it or not, Wicca is the new world order religion that we're all going to have. Human sacrifice. Go back and look at it. It's human fucking sacrifice. I'm completely content with this research I've done.
Well, the Rosicrucian order that I belong to is not a religious order.
I'm not saying it is.
It's nonsense.
I've never been religious.
Right, if you want to
No, I'm
discuss
talking
this
about
afterwards,
spiritual.
That's absolutely fine, but we're not here to discuss this, so.
Okay, so we're going to get into a little personal argument here. We've got what you believe about Rosicrucian.
What I believe, I know.
Yeah, well, fine. I don't deal in beliefs. All beliefs are false. I believe that, and that's a belief as well. And I've never been religious, thank God. Okay, that's it. Over. My turn's done.
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.